Another big voice from the Infosys stable now joining in. We have with us Mr. TV Mohandas Pai, the former CFO of Infosys, as well on the show. Thank you so much, Mr. Pai, for taking time out and joining in. I want to understand from you as to what you make of this overall situation. Mr. Murthy has given out very strong accusations around the fall of corporate governance at Infosys. How have you read into it?
I think Narayan Murthy has got very valid questions to ask about corporate governance. The fact that compensation was paid to the former CFO in such a hush-hush manner without proper due diligence shows that it was not done properly, and that is certainly something that should be looked at by the board. And if you look at the 2016 report, annual report, page 84, there is a corporate governance report by the company every year, which we started long time ago, the first time in India. In that, neither the nomination committee of the board, nomination remuneration committee of the board, nor the audit committee speaks about the CFO going or the compensation paid to him. Now, under corporate governance norms, the CFO reports to the audit committee. The audit committee chair has a hold on the CFO and has a private audience of the CFO always, because the CFO should protect the financial integrity of the enterprise. It's very important that there is independence, and the CFO should not be under the thumb of anybody because he should be independent. He has the responsibility to protect the corporation. Now, the audit committee chair should have spoken to the CFO and should have mentioned in the report. It's not there in the report. So this whole idea of how it was paid, many people approached me and said, why has it been paid? Investor approached me and said, is there something wrong? Are they paying him to keep his, keep quiet? What is wrong? I don't know. And I think that's something the company should be answered, because this is not an ordinary company. Now, I think everybody has got into the fray, the media has got into the fray, all kind of issues are being raised, people are talking everything. The best thing would be for Narayan Murthy and Seshasai to be on TV, on any of your channels, and let Murthy ask Seshasai the question, because he is the chairman of the board and he is accountable to everybody. And if governance issue has been raised, instead of talking to lawyers or talking to anybody, let them have an open debate on TV, because Infosys is an open, transparent company. It's a very transparent company. There's nothing wrong. You can ask any questions. And the founders are well within the right. They have to ask, because they build the company along with others. And I think it's very important that the board has to answer. This is not a old matter. There's a matter for which I think the founders have been asking since May of 2016, when the news first came out. And the news also was not released in a proper manner. I don't think people knew that this has been paid. I don't think people knew. I don't think it's released to media. I think if the founders are raised, you must answer the question.
Right, Mr. Pai, you mentioned about the severance package to Rajiv Bansal as hush payments. Mr. Murthy said the same actually in the interview with the Economic Times, which is in the front page today. Shouldn't this cause worry among shareholders?
I hope the investors also raise this question in this country. I'm very disappointed with the large institutional investors who don't raise this question. When a CFO is paid 24 months or 30 months compensation for leaving the company, there must be something wrong. Tell me which CFO in India has been paid this kind of severance package in the last 50 years. I have not seen anybody. I have left, Bala has left, many people are left, nobody's been paid anything. We all knew much more truth, much more secret than anybody else. And in the shareholders meeting, the current chairman goes before the shareholders and says that the CFO has some matters of confidence, some pricing, that's why we paid. You don't do that. How can you say that? That's not correct. It's not the truth. So I think this matter must be put to, it is not a Tata, let me tell you. This is not a Tata. There is no Tata here, okay? It's not like the Tata Trust thing trying to remove somebody. No. I think it is a question of how the chairman of the company interacts with the CEO to have proper governance and does his job. And they've been pulled short on 2 or 3 occasions. And there are many other issues also. For example, the high cost of officers in Palo Alto in a particular place, the high cost of security for some important person. I mean, and use of private planes for family, along with the family. Now, these are breaches of corporate governance. This is not what Infosys is. And I think everybody should stand up for certain norms in this country.
So, let's understand. What's the way forward from here? Do you think that there will be legal recourse, perhaps a look at a comeback in the company? What exactly will be looked at now?
The founders have made it clear they're not interested in coming back. They are major shareholders of the company, owning 12-13% of the company. They have built the company to be the iconic Indian company. They want good corporate governance practices to be restored. They want answers to some of the queries. They've been asking these questions for a long period of time. Any shareholder has a right to ask any question. Any institutions can write to the questions. And the Infosys board treats its shareholders shabbily. For example, Bala and I, as former CFOs and shareholders, wrote to them asking for a buyback. They didn't have the courtesy of replying to us. When they treat people like us, or former CFOs and shareholders, in such a manner, what do you expect the board to do? They should have, in any other country, they would have called you, they would have spoken to you, asked your concern, and tried to address a concern. In the US, Elliott Capital wrote a letter to the board of Cognizant, and the board called them, spoke to them. They're making a buyback, they're having a capital allocation, they're putting 3 independent members in the board, they're cutting costs, they increase the margins. Now that's the mature way to do. You can't rubbish people and say, oh, some shareholders ask a question, the board will deal appropriately. What is the appropriateness? There has to be full transparency in every corporate board. And I think the founders are asking for transparency, and they've been asking since May of 2016, they have to reply. It's got nothing to do with the CEO, let's be very clear. The CEO has been appointed to run the company, he has run the company, and the CEO has promised everybody that he'll reach $20 billion with 30% operating margin. He's made a good promise, and he must be supported to reach the promise without unnecessary expenditure. So I think it's important that that the chairman of the current board address the issue, and for that the best thing is to put everything to rest instead of creating a controversy. That let there be a public debate between Narayan Murthy and Sai, and let them ask questions to each other, and let the matter be put to rest. So everybody knows what the issue is. I think we should come to a close. This is not good for anybody.
Just wanted to get in some closing comments from you. The sense from the entire episode, from everyone that we've been speaking to, is that the founders and the board haven't really been on the same page from day one. This can't just be a case of breakdown of communication channels. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think the board should have communicated. The chairman, I won't say the board because the duty of the chairman should have communicated with the founders. He should have spoken to them and addressed their concerns. Because the concerns are valid. They have no vested interest. They have no interest. It is made to feel as if the founders are at variance with the company. They built the company. They still have 12-13%. Why will they hurt their economic interest? Their economic interest is still there. All their net worth is still in the company. They have not sold and walked away into the sunset like some people might do. They care about the company. And this company is India's iconic company, best Indian company in the last 20 years. It is not an ordinary company. So the chairman should talk to the founders, address their concerns about corporate governance, about payments made, certain large payments made, certain huge costs incurred, which are not right, or may be right or wrong. And you cannot blandly say, oh, we have taken the interest in the best interest of all. Best interest of whom? If the founders are 12-13% of the company and they don't agree, whose best interest is it? And today I read about some investor from Singapore making some very bland statements, and I don't think he understands the issues at all. So I think we must ignore that. I mean, they have a right to ask anything they want. They have a right to make any statement. This is not a question of founders versus the company. Never. The founders have supported the company. They have supported the company. They stood up for the company. Even now, they are the leaders. And it's not about the founders. The board, the founders have asked certain questions, and the chairman of the company has to answer, and certain decisions have to be taken. And I think if there's a change in the board, I think they must look at it very seriously to improve the standard of corporate governance. Like I said, if you look at the report of corporate governance from the audit committee, nomination committee, nothing is spoken about the CFO leaving. Nothing is spoken about that compensation. Don't you think the report has to be there in the report? It has to be there in the report. That is being transparent because the CFO is an important person. Suddenly a CFO resigns from a company. What will you think has happened?
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.